Welcome to Living Our Faith with Archbishop Jerome Listecki. The latest news, important issues, and stories of Catholics living their faith in the Archdiocese of Milwaukee. Here's co-host Jeff Jackson.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's program. How are you this morning, Archbishop?
Hey, good, Jeff, good.
In your synodal declaration, you talk about formation as a pastoral priority under the banner of evangelization, which was one of the three goals you identified when you became Archbishop. It's coming up on 5 years.
Right. If you take, it is. I forget. Wow. But if you do take a look at formation, you realize that what it is it's the formation is literally the integration of what we understand and what we know into our own lives.
Formation, of course, is one of the key responsibilities of Catholic schools in the Archdiocese.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, I am a product of the Catholic school. So we start with kindergarten right through all of my life till I was ordained basically a priest. And I have benefited from my teachers in the class and their basically example and their direction that they were giving me and helping me to form the Catholic vision in my own life.
And as you know, both of our children went to Catholic schools from the beginning, kindergarten all the way through university and even Marquette Law School. My son just graduated from, and we're so thankful that we were able to do that, and we see the results of that in them as faithful people today.
There is something about being a member of the Catholic community, and our schools, if you take a look at many of our parishes, that when individuals would found a parish, they would come in and they would establish a parish in the area. Shortly after the establishment of the parish, they'd build a school.
And I'm not sure how many of our listeners know there are 99 elementary schools and 14 secondary schools in the Archdiocese of Milwaukee that educate and form more than 32,000 students.
Yeah, we're blessed. And studies demonstrate immediately that the students that come out of basically a Catholic background, they're more apt to be participants in the local civic community. They're more apt to give back in terms of basically the social concerns of the area. These are individuals who would be concerned about the rights of the dignity of the person. These are all kind of like unknown variables that are part of the community that shapes them. Mm-hmm. And then as adults, they take that vision into our communities and make their contributions.
We're joined this morning by two principals at two truly outstanding Catholic schools in the Archdiocese. Ryan Krieke, who's principal at Catholic East Elementary in Milwaukee, and Pam Pizak, who is president at St. John Vianney School in Brookfield. Welcome to Living Our Faith.
Thank you.
Well, welcome. And, we usually ask those who are participants in our program, guests, to tell us a little bit about their faith life so we can connect with our faithful audience of listeners who on Relevant Radio. So, Ryan, if we could begin with you, could you tell us a little bit about your Catholic background and your what kind of led you into education?
Yeah, sure. Grew up in a very committed Catholic family out in Heartland. I actually attended public schools through high school, and but when I started working in Catholic schools, and the first Catholic school that I worked at was Blessed Savior. It used to be Corpus Christi at the time, and I was teaching. And I would say, quite honestly, that the biggest gains in my personal faith formation happened as a teacher at that school. And ironically, the majority of the kids at that school were not Catholic. But it was truly such a strong faith community of adults. We not only really formed the faith of those students, but I know the adults really went through a lot of faith formation themselves, just being a part of that community. And for me, that really cemented the fact that I wanted to be a Catholic educator from here on out, because it was really unbelievable to be a young adult and to have the majority of your faith formation happening when you're 22, 23, and you're just getting your career started.
Tell me a little bit about your family.
I have one younger sibling, or two siblings. Brother and sister, both younger, and two parents. They live out in the Heartland-Delafield area, belong to St. Charles out in Heartland, and active in that parish community. My sister belongs to Old St. Mary's, and my brother lives downtown, and we're trying to get him involved in the cathedral.
And married to?
Married to my wife, Bethany, and we belong to St. Pius.
And how many children?
We have twin girls, so 15 months.
So so you're getting ready to envisioning walking up that aisle, aren't you?
That's right, yes.
Wonderful. And I know there are going to be prospects for Catholic school, right?
Absolutely. In fact, they'll come to Catholic East with me in 2 years. 3K,
wow.
yes.
Wonderful. That is terrific. Thanks, Brian. Pam, why don't you tell us a little something about your faith background and, tell us a little bit about how you got into Catholic education, okay?
Absolutely. As a child, I attended St. Andrew's Catholic Grade School in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, and my father had attended there prior to me, so it was fun to be in the same Catholic school that he had attended, as did my brothers and sisters. So I had the opportunity, Catholic education through 8th grade. Mm-hmm. And then my own two sons, I have two sons who attended St. Joe's in Wauwatosa, mm-hmm. and one son went on Catholic education, Marquette High, and then Creighton University.
Oh, well.
So even though I had a Catholic upbringing and it was a very important part of my life, I spent the majority of my professional career in public education. Mm-hmm. I spent over 30-some years with the School District of Hartford, mm-hmm. and actually stumbled upon a wonderful opportunity to join administration at a Catholic school. Actually, it was a Saturday, and we were looking for a Saturday Mass, and St. John Vianney had a 4:30 Mass, so we went to Mass there, and I don't know what possessed me, but I picked up the bulletin, and there was a farewell letter from the current principal. Mm-hmm. And I remember reading it and nudging my husband and thinking, I would love the opportunity to use my leadership skills in a faith-filled environment. So I was in this wonderful position where I could apply for the job, and if I got the job, it was wonderful. And if I didn't, I had a wonderful school that I was principal of. But moving fast forward, I was offered the opportunity. So this is my 5th year at St. John Vianney.
Wow, terrific. Tell us a little bit about John Vianney's, the composition of the school. How many students? Please tell us a little bit about that.
Actually, if you would ever come for a tour at St. John Vianney School, I'd love to start out by standing in our cafeteria. This kind of goes along with what you were saying before, Archbishop. Our parish is actually an outgrowth of St. Mary's Visitation. And back, the year was 1956, the Archbishop of Milwaukee knew that we needed another parish in the area. So our pastor was Father Paul Lipscomb, and along with about 200 parishioners, they planted the seed in Brookfield and opened St. John Vianney Parish in 1956. And then in 1957, the school was built, and with the School Sisters of Notre Dame.
Just as you said, right away.
Right.
Build a school, right?
So had you been standing on that piece of property back in 1956, as far as the eye could see, all you could see were farmers' fields.
Wow.
There was nothing else in the area except for a small bar and restaurant that was open on the weekend called Judge's Log Cabin. So fast forward now, the year's 2014, and we are sitting on just an incredible piece of property downtown, right in the heart of the city of Brookfield. Across the street, City Hall, the fire department, police station, post office, library, and St. John Vianney School. Currently, we have 460 students. We have students K4 through 8th grade.
Wow, great. Now, Ryan, tell us a little bit about the demographics and because you've got a unique situation.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, Catholic East is really a fantastic community that the people who are members there are very proud of. It's probably one of the most diverse Catholic schools in the Archdiocese. We have about 60% of our students in the Milwaukee Parental Choice Program, and 40% of the other 40% being parents who pay tuition. About 200 of our students are Catholic, and they come from 5 different parishes, all on the east side of Milwaukee. And it's really an awesome place because, you stand there at recess. I did it on one of my first days, and you see kids of different races, different backgrounds, really coming from different home situations together, getting along. And that's really the thread, one of the key threads that brings the parents and the students at our school together, and why they seek it out is because of its diversity. What's really, really awesome about it is, even though not every student at our school is Catholic, the Catholic identity at the school is about as strong as you could imagine. And the parents, even the non-Catholic parents, have really articulated that they seek Catholic East because of its strong Catholic values. So
and you have a strong Catholic identity multiplier called those priests in those areas, right?
Yes.
Who are tremendously supportive of the schools. Right?
They're awesome.
Yes.
Well, we're talking with Ryan Krinke, principal at Catholic East Elementary, and Pam Pizak, president at St. John Vianney in Brookfield, about their very successful Catholic schools. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the challenges they face and how they're addressing them. So we'll be back in a moment with some news from around the Archdiocese, a special feature report you don't want to miss, and more of our conversation. You're listening to Living Our Faith with Archbishop Jerome Listecki. We'll be right back.
In today's car buying marketplace, the difference is the people inside the dealership. Uptown Motors sets the bar in customer service. Here's co-office manager Dar Sinoni. Dar, tell us about Uptown.
And working here 24 years, you actually see how they treat their customers not so much as just a customer, but more as a family member. You know, they're very concerned about their well-being, their kids, what they're doing, and I think a lot of people like that, and I think that's why they come back. They like the family feeling. Oh, in 24 years, I've seen a lot of repeat customers. I mean, basically, you end up knowing them by name, you know, because you see them so much. So there's quite a bit of people that come in here over and over again and buy their cars.
Buy a new or used car from Uptown and they'll donate $200 to the parish of your choice. This is not a gimmick. It's who they are. Stop in and see what customer service is all about. Uptown Motors, Catholic owned, Catholic proud. RelevantRadio.com, keyword Uptown.
Good morning. I'm Grace David with headlines from the Catholic Herald and CatholicHerald.org. This week, Pope Francis made 2 requests as he set the tone for the Vatican's extraordinary family synod. He asked participants to speak fearlessly and listen humbly. Alice and Jeff Heinzen of Menominee are auditors for the historic 2-week gathering, handpicked by the Pope himself. Alice says the Church must start discussing marriage in strong, creative ways, and that marriage shouldn't be an afterthought, because it's God's gift, a real vocation, not a man-made institution. The synod runs through October 19th. Another historic event, this one in New Jersey, as Catholics celebrated the first beatification in the United States. On Saturday, thousands gathered in honor of Sister Miriam Teresa Damjanovic as the beloved nun moves one step closer to sainthood. Cardinal Angelo Amato celebrated the beatification mass in her home state. The Bayonne native is attributed with several healing miracles, including restoring perfect vision to a boy who was once declared legally blind. She may now be referred to as Blessed Miriam Teresa as the world awaits her canonization. Milwaukee Auxiliary Bishop Don Hying says the way we treat our most vulnerable is our virtual litmus test. In his latest Herald of Hope column, he says the United States' key to true greatness is considering every person as a gift from God. His list includes the unborn, the poor, the sick, those with special needs, and the elderly. The bishop stresses that we are not disposable burdens, but actually the hidden face of Christ. Read more from Bishop Hying in this week's Catholic Herald. We're just 2 weeks away from the second annual Souls for Catholic Education Walk at Mount Mary University on Saturday, October 25th. Whether you're lacing up your shoes, writing a check, or donating online, we want you to join our team. Help us to educate and evangelize as we raise money for tuition assistance across the Archdiocese. Step up for your favorite school online today at CatholicSchoolsWalk.org. That's CatholicSchoolsWalk.org. This weekend, Combined Collection returns to your parish. That extra envelope is more than a handout. It's a great opportunity for you to live your faith by supporting Catholic missions around the world. Also this weekend, we celebrate the first feast of St. John the 23rd, a popular pope, known for his quick wit and sense of humor. On one hospital visit, a boy told the Holy Father that he would like to become a policeman or a pope. Humorously, St. John recommended the police because, quote, anyone can become a pope. Look at me. Get more news and info 24 hours a day at CatholicHerald.org. I'm Grace David, and now we return to Living Our Faith with Archbishop Listecki.
Thanks much for that news update, Grace. We're back now with Ryan Krinke, principal at Catholic East Elementary, and Pam Pizak, who's president at St. John Vianney in Brookfield, talking about some of the challenges facing our Catholic schools today and how successful schools like these are addressing them. I should mention that the Walk for Catholic Schools, the Souls for Catholic Education, is coming up.
Oh, yeah.
That's October 25th.
Right.
Remind our listeners, anyone who wants to participate, wants to support their school, CatholicSchoolsWalk.org, CatholicSchoolsWalk.org. That's in part a big statement of support for our schools, but also it's a fundraiser. It's to help offset the financial challenges.
Right, and every penny stays at the local school. So it's not a fundraiser for just the general coffers of Catholic education. It goes specifically in a particular way to the school that basically they support. So.
Absolutely, and finance and funding is one of the biggest challenges our schools face.
Absolutely. And we might start just by asking our principal, maybe Pam, I could ask you that. It seems to me one of the challenges for basically Catholic education is, and for Catholics in general, is the spiraling cost. I've often said there is basically two of the great enemies of Catholic education is changing demographics and spiraling costs. And you certainly being in an area that's a bit more affluent and one that has a market number of professionals, that spiraling cost has to be a real consideration.
I think the two things that kind of go hand in hand are when you're talking about specifically St. John Vianney School is in the Elmbrook Public School District. And one of the things that we're facing demographically is a decline in enrollment in the general area. So as Elmbrook faces that declining enrollment, so does St. John Vianney School. And with less students, then you're always also facing the result is then spiraling tuition costs. And how do you keep a handle on all of that? Currently, St. John Vianney Parish subsidizes 35% of the school's operating expenses. But we know that there needs to be another way that we can fund our Catholic schools rather than just increasing the cost of tuition and expecting more and more financial resources from our parish. One of the things that we have done very proactively is we've really been marketing our school. We're very blessed to have a very strong advancement committee, which is a subcommittee of our school committee that have really worked on marketing, and we've kind of been following that for the last couple of years, and we've been getting more and more families that transfer into the area. And we're finding that many families are visiting our website and checking out the schools in the area before they even purchase their homes. So they're looking school first, home second. And one of the things we did is we updated our website because we know that that's what our new families are doing. Last year, we had families from Michigan, Minnesota, 2 families from California, a family from Mexico, 1 from Arkansas. So really kind of increasing our marketing efforts. And I know that currently, as we look at the kids that come to us, over 36% of our current student population is from outside of the Elmbrook School District. So we're drawing families from a larger area.
So that's an aspect of marketing that's must be a part of it. And you have to take a look at ways in order to make sure that the cost is effective, I would guess. That effective cost is very difficult. You got to trim certain things without basically trimming quality.
That's it exactly, because we don't want, at the sake of cost, have less of a program to offer. We know that in the Elmbrook School District, we're competing with an award-winning school district. There's also other private and parochial schools in the area. So we know that first and foremost, a faith-based education, but it has to be excellence in education as well.
Right, and it's what professionals and professional families would always look for, because they know the value of education in a competitive society.
Right.
Talking in terms of that curriculum, Ryan, many will kind of will say, well, if I send my child to a Catholic school, they're not going to be as strictly educated, or they're not going to have the quality of education that they might get at a public school. Now, I've always seen this as a fallacy and a myth rather than a fact. Tell me a little bit about the curriculum of your school.
Yeah, well, first, I think that it's really important that school leaders and those of us working in Catholic schools really understand that the Catholic identity piece is so much connected to the instruction piece in our school and the academic piece. Kind of piggybacking off of what Pam said, education is really open for business in many communities. And when parents are moving to communities and looking at schools, and Catholic families are looking at the Catholic schools, we need to make sure that those Catholic families come to our Catholic schools so we can form them in the faith. So our mission is centered around gospel values. And when we don't deliver on the academic piece, then we're putting that mission at risk. So I want to just make a point that I think that's extremely important for us as school leaders to make instruction and academics a huge piece of what we're doing. And I think our Catholic schools, like you said, are delivering on the promise. Principals are really encouraged by the school's office in the Archdiocese to be instructional leaders, and that is really how they're forming school leaders. They're asking us to be in the classroom. They're asking us to give teachers feedback. They're asking us to really focus on curriculum. Being the notion that I've really gotten from this Archdiocese is that the student is the curriculum, that we don't adopt a program. What we're doing is we're gearing our instruction towards the individual student.
Well, thanks, Ryan. I've seen statistics, and especially the most current one, at least on their secondary schools, that our secondary high schools kind of surpass their own counterparts in the public school significantly. And the interesting thing is, we know that many of those individuals that are going to Catholic secondary schools come from a base in the elementary schools. Pam?
I just wanted to say a little something. We were talking before about, how do we deal with, we're talking about we really want our kids to have excellence in education, and our principals are instructional leaders. So how do we maintain the cost of tuition? And one of the things that at St. John Vianney School, one of the things we started 2 years ago was an annual fund. So we were in a position of strength at the time, but we were aware of the fact that our current model of funding Catholic schools solely through tuition and parish contributions would be unsustainable long term. And we want to make sure that Catholic education continues to be accessible and affordable to all of our children. So as costs continue to rise, relying solely on tuition would make Catholic education only accessible to the privileged.
Right. You're right.
So as a result, it was really necessary for us to develop and add a reoccurring third-party source of funding, and the annual fund allows us to do that. Mm-hmm. We adopted an annual fund. In our first year, we were very successful. We had generated over $120,000. Last year was our second year, and we were very successful. It generated $157,000. So last year alone, that money comprised 6% of the school's operating budget. So it really helped us to offset costs. And we were very specific about, well, what goals will we use this extra revenue for? So we identified to our donors that this money would be used to retain our professionals, our teachers, and to be able to provide training for them so that they can continue to be on the top of their game. It also is used to support technology. And then the third goal of the annual fund at St. John Vianney is for tuition assistance, being able to make Catholic education accessible to those students that perhaps their parents would not be able to afford it.
Let me ask both of you and give you both a little opportunity to answer this question. Pretend I'm a parent of 3 children. Why should I send my children to your school? Why should I send my children to your school?
I think I would get you in our school, and I would walk you around the building, and that would provide more answers than I could in a dialogue. I could tell you about all the programs we have, and at Catholic East we have many. I mean, we have a dynamic faith formation team. We have a dynamic learning support team that's been developing. We have great teachers, but when you walk around the building and you see the way our staff interacts with our scholars, and you will feel the prayerfulness of the school, because it's not just something that happens before and at the end of the day. It's something that happens before many classes, and really Christ is at the center, and you'll see it when you go into classrooms. I believe that you would want to send your children to our school, and then you accompany the diversity with that, and we really are a unique community.
Wow, thanks, Ryan.
Great discussion. Let's take a break now for Around the Arch.
Around the Arch, a look at everyday Catholics doing extraordinary things in and around southeastern Wisconsin. Around the Arch. By day, she works at one of the nation's oldest seminaries.
I work here at the seminary, St. Francis de Sales Seminary. I remember when I got the job here, I was like, this is hilarious. This place runs like a business. I'm in charge of the finances that go through this office. There's daily communication. We're promoting things.
By night, she works for her mom.
My mom suffered a debilitating stroke. There's 5 kids in my family. We're all very involved in her caretaking. We don't want to put her in a nursing home. She's paralyzed on one side. She's a widow. And I'm really enjoying taking care of her. You know, it's a sacrifice, but she's worth it.
Every day, she works for Christ in her own little and not so little ways.
I volunteer when I can at the River West Food Pantry on Saturday mornings, which is something that I just recently got involved in, and it's so fulfilling. I'm only there for a couple hours. You feel so good after you do it. And then I also volunteer pretty regularly at the Marian Center, the Catholic bookstore on 92nd Street.
Meet Carla Del Santo.
From Milwaukee, born and raised on the northwest side of the city.
She's a product of a Catholic elementary and high school education. After graduating from Pius, she attended UWM and Marquette for graduate school. And after such a great start, it's no surprise that she landed a dream job in Chicago.
For about 11 years, I was in corporate America and software, consulting, sales, business development, IT.
Then, in 2008, 2009, a breakdown in the economy changed everything.
I got laid off and had to find work. And I've always been a practicing Catholic. I never steered away from my faith. But going through that experience was really humbling for me because I had to sell my house. I was like, why is this happening to me? I have my education behind me. I have what I thought a pretty solid resume. I was getting interviews, but no job. And it went on for a long time. I mean, I was suffering.
Now, even after her life took some twists and turns, she says her faith is even greater, much stronger than ever before. Carla also says she's learned to live more with a lot less.
I just feel like my life is less complex, but a lot more probably peaceful, more fulfilling. The work I do here, I'm working on really cool projects. It's a lot of marketing that we do here in the vocation office, so it is exciting.
Today, she shares words of hope and faith with others facing sudden, long-term unemployment.
For those of you out there that are looking for work, I would just put all your trust in St. Joseph. I prayed to St. Joseph like crazy. It's like, why is this happening? I'm seeing my friends get promotions and new jobs. And then you just got to surrender to the mystery of why this is happening to you. And it doesn't make sense. And, at the time it doesn't make sense, but God has a plan for your life.
From software in the big city to the seminary in St. Francis, Carla's journey is a lesson that even when life is turned upside down, if you call on Christ, he'll lift you up. Nisa Dalmas, living our faith around the Arch.
In today's car buying marketplace, the difference is the people inside the dealership. Uptown Motors sets the bar in customer service. Here's Uptown Motors' third-generation operator, John Pintler. John, tell us about Uptown.
The cool thing about Uptown is we've served Milwaukee and the Wauwatosa community for 67 years at this point. And we're a firm believer that business and its customers can get along and do things in a mutual way here. And what's good for our customers is good for our dealership. And what we really thrive on is having people come back time and time again. A lot of our customers are people I've grown up around. I started out as a lot attendant. I was washing people's cars. I would drive them home when they were here for service. Then I started selling cars and got to work with these people. And now I'm in a position where I get to help structure deals where we find the way to make the payments and the car all come together. And these people really become family.
Buy a new or used car from Uptown and they'll donate $200 to the parish of your choice. This is not a gimmick. It's who they are. Stop in and see what customer service is all about. Uptown Motors, Catholic owned, Catholic proud. RelevantRadio.com, keyword Uptown.
Thanks so much to Ryan Krinke, principal at Catholic East Elementary, and Pam Pizak, president at St. John Vianney in Brookfield, for joining us this morning. Archbishop, before we close, could you please lead us in prayer?
Sure. We give thanks to all the wonderful administrators, our teachers, our parish communities that have helped form and fashion our schools, and especially our students, who are the best examples and models and even product of the great work of the church. May they all be blessed to know the presence of Christ in their life and be able to share that person of Christ with others. We ask in a very special way this year as we committed ourselves to St. Elizabeth Ann Seton, who helped form and fashion our Catholic schools. And we ask blessings upon them all in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you so much, Archbishop, and thanks to all of you for listening this morning. We'll be back next week with another edition of Living Our Faith with Archbishop Jerome Listecki. In the meantime, I'm Jeff Jackson, wishing you a happy weekend.
This has been Living Our Faith with Archbishop Jerome Listecki and co-host Jeff Jackson. Join us again next week for the latest news, important issues, and stories of Catholics living their faith in the Archdiocese of Milwaukee.